Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm your host John, and today on the channel we're going to be reviewing another Hong Kong cinema classic in The Killer. And we're also going to be talking about its brand new Shout Factory 4K Blu-ray that is coming out in early December. But before we get into that 4K Blu-ray review, I always like to give a quick film review, and today is no different. So if you don't know anything about the film The Killer, please make sure you guys skip ahead to that 4K Blu-ray review right now. So back in 1989, John Woo wrote and directed The Killer, which stars Chow Yun-fat and Danny Lee in the two lead roles. And this is only one of the two John Woo directed Hong Kong films that I ever saw. I saw this and Hard Boiled. That's actually why I grabbed them both on 4K Blu-ray, because I also hadn't seen them since the 2000s when I was in high school. Like I told you guys on the Hard Boiled 4K review, I just watched it with a friend who just really liked martial arts movies, and I think I just roped in Hard Boiled and The Killer with those movies because I'm not a really big fan of martial arts films. So I was like, I don't know, these aren't really for me. But I'm a fucking idiot, and I didn't realize that these movies are a little bit different than that, and they're phenomenal. Like, I absolutely have enjoyed rewatching Hard Boiled and The Killer. Like, these are some of the best action movies of all time. There's a reason why Western directors were after John Woo. It's because of movies like this and movies like Hard Boiled. And they were just like, he was already on board with coming to the United States before Hard Boiled, because that was supposed to be his, like, bow out of Hong Kong films. Him and Chow Yun-fat, they were going to be done. That was them saying goodbye to each other. And honestly, after watching Hard Boiled first and then going back to The Killer, it's like everything clearly just culminated with Hard Boiled. Like, that's where everything that John Woo was doing in Hong Kong cinema before he got to the Hard Boiled, like, it all just comes together right there, and then he can bow out and leave and go to the United States and make movies like Hard Target, Broken Arrow, and Face Off.
Ain't it cool?
Honestly, after rewatching these two films, both of these movies are better than anything John Woo ever did in the United States. I mean, they just check a lot of personal boxes for me. I always forgot, like, I kind of don't bring it up a lot. When I was younger, before I was 18 years old and really started to get into movies, I watched a lot of action movies when I was a kid. I watched a lot of horror, comedy, and action. I would say those were the three big ones. I wasn't a big drama guy. It wasn't until I got older and I got to appreciate, like, the more nuance of life and not just like, yeah, things blowing up, that's fucking awesome. No, I got past all that. But, you know, going back and, like, watching movies like this, I'm like, that's why I loved action films so much, because of movies like this, like the squibs going off, the smoke-filled interiors, you got the amazing score going on, people going back to back and shooting other people. I mean, it gets your blood going. I'm like trying to point out to my wife, she's just sitting there playing a game. I'm like, Faith, look at this shit, isn't this amazing? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, you just don't get it.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
You just don't get it, do you? Just because it gets your blood going right from the opening scene of this movie, where, you know, Chow Yun-fat plays a hitman in this film. So, of course, somebody's coming to him, telling him about a job he needs to do. It's at a church that he's telling him this all. So the fire's all on, the candles are all on. There's no one else around. They're the only two people in this church, and every single candle's lit. You know, they're talking. This song is playing by who would become a pretty pivotal part of the movie, but she's singing this song, and the song is so fucking good. He's walking out of the church in slow motion. And then, of course, you know, he's got to hit his target, but he accidentally blinds this young girl, Jenny. And he feels guilty about it, Chow Yun-fat. He's like, you know, he has a code. You know, he might be a man for hire, but he has a code. And, you know, innocent people are not supposed to get hurt. We see that a lot throughout this film. So he feels guilty about this. And there is a surgery to help her fix her eyes. And hopefully she can go back to normal, but we don't know for sure. So he's going to help pay for that, of course, by doing one last job. Because, hey, this is a cops and robbers film. Clearly, John Woo loves these types of movies. And even, again, going back from Hard Boiled to The Killer, I would say that the screenplay probably has some of the biggest weaknesses of this movie, just because it's a 1980s action film, and I've seen so many other movies before I came back to this film, and it's like, I could see all the tropes and everything in the screenplay, where it's like, it's a little bit more tropey than if you were to go to, like, Hard Boiled. Even though, probably for the time in 1989, having this line between a cop and a killer being so close, like, we're really not that different, you and I, are we, like, kind of thing, you know? And I love that. I love these two characters' relationships, even if it's a little bit too far-fetched to believe these guys would become this close of friends in such a short amount of time, especially going through what they're going through. But they do have a mutual understanding of what the other one has to do, why somebody has to follow this type of code. And again, one thing I learned from watching the extras on this 4K Blu-ray is that Hong Kong police are a little bit different than police here in the United States, and that's another thing that I love about watching foreign films, is that you learn a lot about other cultures. And again, that's why I'm a big fan of featurettes in general, because I can learn about these things through other people telling me about, living in Hong Kong. I would never know about any of this stuff. And that's the beauty of physical media. Not to get too off the topic of the film itself. We'll talk about the physical media in a little while. It's just you can learn so much about a movie, and then you can appreciate the movie even more when watching it because of things like that. And I mean, this movie, taking place in the 1980s, it's such a colorful looking movie, so it looks fucking beautiful. Again, the entire score. I love these scores. We used to be a society that used the synthesizer, and then people started saying that the synthesizer was a really shitty instrument, and those 80s scores were awful. And I was like, I started pearl clutching, like, what? You don't like the synthesizer? Are you kidding me? Like, when Hans Zimmer talks about the Days of Thunder score, and he's like, I'm really embarrassed about it. I'm like, that's one of my favorite scores, you son of a bitch. You could be proud of that. What, because you used the synthesizer? It's not a big deal. The synthesizer makes some great music. And clearly here and through a lot of John Woo films, he was making great music for his films, or whoever did the score for it. I just love it. I love this movie just as much. I mean, not as much as I loved Hard Boiled. I don't want to jump the gun there. I had a great time watching it, but Hard Boiled definitely is a better film overall. But still, if you're into John Woo, you're into those smoky interiors. This is the first film where you ever get to see doves from John Woo. That would become a staple of his. So again, he's just he's putting these building blocks in place. I still have to go back and watch the Better Tomorrow movies. He did. I think he only did the first two, but I still have never seen those. I pre-ordered the other two John Woo movies coming out in Bullet to the Head and Once a Thief coming out in January. Like, I'm fully on board with this. Like, these are movies that, like, I gotta buy City on Fire. Like, these are movies I should have been watching my whole life. Like, I feel like I missed out on something by rewatching these movies. And that's the beauty of physical media. So without further ado, let's get into this 4K Blu-ray review.
The Killer, a thriller comedy that will leave you breathless.
And here it is, The Killer on 4K Blu-ray, and just like Hard Boiled on 4K Blu-ray, Shout Factory whipped out there, not quite obese boxes. It's like Arrow Video's obese boxes, but instead they're like on Ozempic, so they're a little bit thinner, but they got all the same bells and whistles as that. So if you were to like take this out, also red is a great base color. It's a little bit better than green in my opinion. If you come around here, see, this is the box work. You also got great reading material. Again, smells pretty good. Not as good as Arrow Video's paper stock, but still smells pretty nice. When you come inside, just like Hard Boiled, you have a 3-disc set. You got a 4K Blu-ray, you got a Blu-ray, and then you get your bonus disc Blu-ray. And that bonus disc Blu-ray is actually better than Hard Boiled. It has everything that Hard Boiled had on it, which includes a brand new interview with John Woo. It's over 40 minutes long, both of them on Hard Boiled and on The Killer. But you also get, I think his name is Gordon Hendricks. I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, but a film critic looking back on John Woo's movies. So he does another one of those segments that he did for Hard Boiled on here. I absolutely loved it. And then there's also an hour and 15-minute documentary on the man himself, John Woo. That really explores a lot of like the movies he did in Hong Kong, but still, my God, I absolutely loved it. And that's what bonus features are for movies like this. And like, again, like I said in my film review, I learned so much more about the movie, so much more about John Woo, so much more about Hong Kong from just watching the special features on this 4K Blu-ray disc. So when you guys hear me bitch and moan when a movie doesn't put special features on it, that's why. Because even after I'm done watching the movie, having a blast watching the movie, I have like 3 hours of bonus features to watch. And I'm just sitting there enjoying the hell out of myself. Now, I know not everybody's into that, but I've just always been a big person. Like, I want to know how the sauce is made. I want to know how movies are made. It's not just movies, everything. I always just want to know how things are done. Like, I know some people just like to be involved in, like, I know some people just like to be into the film and they like to, like, have reality taken away from them for a little bit. They don't want to know how the movie's made. They're like, this is supposed to be escapism for me. And I get that. But it's even escapism for me to actually find out how the movies are made. And that's why I just really enjoyed the special features on here as well. It's, again, a whole disc of it, just right up my alley. Now, the audio tracks are exactly the same thing as Hard Boiled, so you can have two. You'll have a mono track in Cantonese, and then you'll have a mono track with the English dub, which is how I chose to watch it. Like I said in my Hard Boiled review, I don't have the greatest eyes in the world, so if I want to really watch it with subtitles, I have to watch it like on a smaller screen because I'm going to be sitting a little bit closer. Ideally, I would watch that in my office right here on this screen because that way I can handle subtitles a little bit better. But if available, I would love to actually just listen to it in English so I can, watch the movie, pay attention. This is an action-heavy movie, obviously, so I'm going to be paying attention to the action. And if the dub is, maybe it's not the greatest, at least I can enjoy the film fully, and that's why I usually choose the English dub, even though I know that certain things do get lost in the translation, and I understand that. It's just personal preference, and again, I know a lot of the cinephiles and a lot of the gatekeepers out there get really bent out of shape when you say you watch something with subtitles off, or or not in the natural, or not in the native language. But I do think personally accessibility options are always the best way to go, because you don't know how somebody else is feeling, and you shouldn't bully somebody into watching a movie with subtitles just because you feel like that's the proper way they should be watching a film. I feel like that's the wrong way to go about things, and that's my 2 cents on that. That's all I gotta say about that. How are the audio tracks? Again, some people might be a little bit disappointed that they didn't upgrade the audio like a nice brand new Dolby Atmos track for such heavy action films, but this is how the audio was recorded back in the day. Gotta remember, these are low budget films. I think it only cost $2 million US to make this movie. Doesn't show on screen. Does not show on screen. This movie looks better than $100 million action films that come out today. So I mean, I'm being a little over-exaggerating here, because when you watch the movie itself and then you get into the visuals, you're like, there are scenes that aren't lit the best, and it kind of, when it translates to the 4K Blu-ray format, like, we do have HDR10 and Dolby Vision, some scenes just might look a little bit off in comparison to other scenes. Like in Hard Boiled, there was only like 1 or 2 scenes. There's a little bit more in this movie, and this movie came out 3 years before Hard Boiled. Like I said, Hard Boiled is when everything like culminated. Like in this movie, there are some like issues with the 4K as far as the visuals go, but still, it is by far the best that this movie has ever looked. I can guarantee that. The sharpness of it all, it still has that soft look to it though, which is really good as well. Like if that's how it maintained it, we maintained the film grain. So I really think it's a very tasteful transfer. It still is going to look like the movie you remember, if I had to guess. Like I said, I only saw this on DVD back in the 2000s, and that was the only other time, so don't really have too much to compare it to. But even comparing it to the Blu-ray that's packed in here, I think you'll get your money's worth with the 4K Blu-ray if you check it out that way. But hey, if you want to check out the Blu-ray, it's just a downgraded version to 1080p. I think they did a good job on that as well. Again, giving us all of the options. And if you're somebody who's a big fan of these movies, you truly do owe it to yourself to grab them on 4K Blu-ray if you can. Because one thing I didn't point out, these are hard to get right now. There's some printing issues going on, I guess, because they're not able to fulfill all the pre-orders. I guess you guys probably saw that, where I think they only got like, I think it was Orbit DVD, one of them only got 40% of the stock for their pre-orders. So there were some issues when it comes to these releases. I think it's related to them merging the companies and starting to sell these movies on Groove. Not 100% sure, I'm just speculating here, but I do think that's very unfortunate. And honestly, I didn't grab the Better Tomorrow movies because I didn't know if I'd like them until I rewatched these, and now I regret not pre-ordering them, and I'm hoping I can grab them at the end of the month, because I just love these 2 movies so much. I really want to watch more John Woo. But how would I rate this 4K Blu-ray on its own on a score of 1 to 10? I think I'm going to give this one a pretty damn solid 9.5 out of 10. I had an absolute blast with it, just like I did with Hard Boiled. They are a little bit expensive, but so far they are proving to me that they are well worth the money. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it here for me on another episode of Let's Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships, guys, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo, Ben Rondo, and Harvey Scott, you can do that. Or you could even become a channel director like Frank from Frank's Media Reviews, Kevin Kruger, Uncle V, Nicholas Head, and Stone Gasman. Or you can even bump it up to the channel bankroll members like Mr. Smelly Potato. But of course, guys, if you got no money to throw my way, I don't mind at all. I just hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, get out those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.